Is there anybody who's facing any problem? Awesome. No. Okay. So this is known as Jupyter Notebook. So we are going to all the sessions. Today's Python session here. Let us go ahead and create a new project here, and then we'll move on to PPT. Okay. Click on Create New Project. Give project title. Create project. And then click on the project just created. The name will be shown here. So is everybody on the screen? Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Keep it like this, so we'll get back to it later. So today's session will mainly focus on Python programming. This is a very basic course. We'll start with a variable declaration, and then we'll go to loops, and then we'll end with Python Pandas, which is very useful in PySpark. So before that, how many of you are well versed with any programming language? Any, be it C#, Java, and any programming language? Oh, we have somebody from Python also. Okay. So this course will be helpful for those guys who have no idea about any programming language, because many of the people will be working on Informatica or Teradata most of the times, and so they will not have any hands-on on this, on any programming language. So this will be helpful. Let's get started then. This is a very brief history of Python. It was invented in Netherlands in 90s. It was named after Monty Python. It was a comedy group in Britain. So this is known as scripting language, but it is more than that. Scripting language is where we do not have any classes or any objects. This is open source language, so free to use. This is object-oriented programming. That means we can have classes and all. We'll not go into that. Google is funding this language, and Google is it's using it from the beginning. So it is very vast now. It has many libraries. It has very good support from the community, and it is getting very popular nowadays. So why would we want to use Python? We have many other languages. We can use languages like Java or Scala in Spark, and so why are we going for Python instead? So these are some of the reasons that Python is very popular language. As you can see in the graph, by 2020, it will be the most popular language by any standards. It has great corporate sponsors. As I told you, Google is one of them. All the libraries which Google use for its own use, it makes it open source, so everybody can use it. Machine learning with Python is trending nowadays, and then it is well supported by all the community. It is reliable and efficient. It's very reliable language. Okay, so we use Python. We we can do web development with Python. We have many libraries like Django, Flask, where we can use Python and create web pages, even whole web app. And then scientific and number computing, we have many libraries where we have in those libraries we have many functions to go through the data and analyze it. Machine learning, we can have browser automation, like we can automate if you need, it's with, like for scripting purpose. If you just want to go to some page on website and you want to download some stuff, it can be automated easily using Python. So it is very popular in robotics as well. So first thing is, what are Python libraries? So Python library is a collection of functions and methods that allows you to perform many actions without writing your code. So as I told you that it has a very vast community, so people are writing libraries all the time. So they when the library is stable to use, they make it open source, and then those libraries can be used by us. So if you want to create, so if you have created a function and it is doing some general work, then that function can be packaged in library and made it open source, so that some other people also use it. It has each library can have many modules you can import. We will be importing many libraries today, and then we'll see. So some of the examples are NumPy, Pandas, PyTorch. These are some of the very important libraries which are used in Python. So we'll go through the Pandas, which is the most important of all today. So in order to import a library in your Python, you just have to write import math. There are many other ways too, but this is the easiest way. Okay. So how do we install libraries? So if you remember, yesterday I sent some files to you, and one of the file was getpip.py, if you guys remember. So that file will install pip in your Python library. So pip is nothing but a way to download all the libraries. Suppose, so how would you install that pip file? What would you do is, you'll go to the path where that pip file is present. Like for me, it is present under this folder, PySpark training. Yeah, so we have getpip.py. So you need not to do it here. I'm just telling you for your future reference, because we are going to use that website, Jupyter Notebooks. So this won't be helpful for today, but it will be useful if in case you want to do any programming in Python in future. So you just need to install this getpip.py. You'll use Python. Yes, so I'll tell you. So in order to install it, use getpip.py, Python getpip.py, that's it. So Python is the command which we use to run any py file. Py file is where Python code is written. So this will install all the libraries which are there inside this getpip file. So it was already there in my Python, so I uninstalled it and then reinstalled it. So in order to install any library which you may use, you will have to use this command, pip install and then library name. Suppose I want to use Pandas. So just write pip install and install Pandas. So as Pandas was already there, so yes, it should. So this is how you'll install all the libraries. Okay, so let's get started with our hands-on. So we'll go through these slides first, and then we'll do hands-on of all this at once. So this is how we'll declare variables in Python. We need, so if you have ever worked on any other programming language, we'll have to write a data type before declaring any variable, like in C++, you would write int x equals to 5. For string, you write string x equals to some string. But in Python, you need not to write any data type here. You can just write x equals to 5. That's it. It will take care of all the the Python will take care of all the data types. So as you can see there, GPA equals to 3.414. This is a float value. So if I print type of GPA, it will print float. And similarly for x, it will print integer. So indentation in Python. So this is very important. In most of the programming languages, we have something known as braces. So curly braces or any other sort of brace we use to indentate the Python. Mostly those braces are used to make your code pretty. But in Python, we use that code to separate all the blocks. So as you can see here in this example, if else, I'm using if else here. So if password equals to apple, then print. As you can see there, there's some gap between print and if. So this is known as indentation, and same amount of gap is present between after else statement. So this is known as indentation. We'll see how this. So I will use this code, and then we'll see how this is different from other languages, and what difference does it make. Okay, so we have print statement here. So if you want to print any value on the screen, we'll just use print. That's it. In the latest version of print, we have to use round braces, but in older versions, this used to work, like directly printing any value. Input. So if I need to take any input from the user, we'll use input function. So whenever we'll take any input from the user, by any it will be in a string value. So even if we are getting some integer value from the user, we'll get the value in a string. So later, if we want to use that as an integer, we'll have to typecast it. We'll do that in our hands-on session. And then we have sets and tuples. So okay, let's go through this also. So what is a set? A set is a collection. Set, tuple, and list all are different types of arrays in Python, as you may have used arrays in other programming languages. So what are the difference between all these? First of all, you can see that syntax is different. We have curly braces in set, we have round braces in tuple, and we have brackets in list, square brackets in list. So what are the difference? A set is a collection which is unordered and indexed. So our in set order will not be maintained. If I'm saving the values as apple, banana, and cherry, it may print out whenever I'll print it, it may print as banana, cherry, and apple. So the order may change. It is unindexed. That means I cannot access any particular value of this set. If I want to access just banana, I cannot do that in set. And then we have tuple. Tuple is unchangeable and ordered. So it has, unlike set, it has some order. So apple, banana, and cherry will always remain apple and banana and cherry in that sequence, but is unchangeable. That means I cannot change the value of this tuple again. So if I want to add some other value to this array, then I cannot do that. When it comes to list, it has all the advantages of set and tuple. We can change the value of list. We can get the get some other value. We can get a particular value of the list as well. And then this is loops. So we have two types of loops in Python. One is for, another is while. So this is the syntax of for loop here, for x in range. So we are providing a range here. Range is a function which will will still return a list. So range 1 to 6 means it will return 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that means including the first one and excluding the last one. So it will print all the values from 1 to 5. So range, as I told you, and also range has one more function, that is one more parameter, that is the third one. This is called as step parameter. So if I'll directly write, if I just use two parameters, it will just keep on adding one. If I am writing another parameter, like here I'm writing -1, so it will add -1 to the value. So it will print 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's do some hands-on first, and then we'll get back to it. No, in tuple we cannot get a particular value. We can do that only in list. Okay, so go to new. I hope at least most of you are following me. Go to new, click on Jupyter Notebook, and then click on Python 3. New Jupyter Notebook and then Python 3. Let me know when you reach this page. Okay. So we have multiple ways to run a Python program. The first one is using shell. So I'll directly write Python, and then I can use it here. Like, let us print some string. Print Python. It will print value here. So this is one way of writing your code. The other way is to write the code in a other way is to write a code in a Python file.py file and then run it. As we ran getpip.py, that getpip.py file was also a Python file which will install all the required libraries. So similarly, we can create a Python file. We'll do that today, and then run it using Python space and py file. That we need to do outside the Python shell. So here the Python file should be present in my present working directory, and then we can directly write Python and then Python py file name. So this will run all the Python code. So these are two ways, and the other way is using Jupyter Notebook. So this is the latest and the most trendy one nowadays. All the PySpark developers use this. So here we have something known as cells. So this is one cell, and we can keep on adding more cells here. So the advantage is that I can write my code in one cell, some part of my code in one cell, like I am assigning some value to A. And then print it in another. Why did it give error? Because I did not run my first cell and ran the second cell again. So A is not defined. I need to define this A, which is present in my first cell. So let us run my first cell. So A is defined now, and then I'll print. In order to print it, you will have to use Shift plus Enter. So go to the cell where you want to, the cell which you want to run, press Shift Enter. Go to the second cell and press Shift Enter. Then you can see that output is displayed here. Also, you can also use this button, this play button, to run your cells. So what are the advantages? Suppose I'm trying to debug my code and it has hundreds of lines of code. So I'll split my code in multiple cells and then run it cell-wise. So I'll get to know in which cell the problem is occurring. And then as I've already ran my code in the previous cells, I need not to run it again. So once A is defined here, it is always defined. So if I do anything here, so I have overwritten this value. So this will be compiled previously. I need not to compile it again. Okay. So are you guys following me?
Can you repeat the last? So if you run what is
Yeah,
on
sure. I'll do
this
that. So
A
let us take an
equal to,
example. Yeah, let us
okay,
take an example. A equals to 1, B equals to 2. And then I want to add these values. C equals to A plus B. And I want to print it. See. So once I compile this code, the first cell, and then I'm compiling the second cell, and then I'm printing it. So what if I need to make changes here? Suppose I need to add B. I need not to compile the first cell again, because this cell is already combined and the values of A and B is already defined. So I'll just run the second cell and then print it. I hope that answered it. So this is a very small code. What if you have hundreds of lines of code and then you need to debug it? So you'll write first 50 lines in one cell and then next 50 lines in one cell. And the first cell maybe the first 50 lines of code may take at least 10 minutes to get compiled and run. So similarly, the next will take 10 minutes. So you need not to run your code again and again. So you'll just run the code where the error is occurring. Are we good?
yep.
Okay.
So is it actually compiling? Because I thought Python was an interpreted language.
Yeah, it is actually. This is compiling the code. So it is compiling and checking all the syntax values. Suppose if I make any syntax error, so then it is compiling and see if there is any syntax error. Okay. So we'll start with sets. Let me create a new set here. As I told you, I do not need any data type, and for sets I use curly braces. You guys can also try. And then I'll try to print this. So as you can see that the sequence is not maintained. I had written it as A B C D E, but when I printed it, it is different. The sequence is not maintained. So this is sets, and then we'll do tuple similarly. Tuple, the only difference in syntax is it is using round braces instead of curly. And then I'll print this. So as you can see that the sequence is maintained, but if I want to change any value of this tuple, I won't be able to. Suppose I want to change the 0th value and assign it like X. So I won't be able to because it is not allowed in tuple. Then we have list. We have square brackets here. Okay, so I printed it. So what if I need to get the 4th value here? This list. So the sequence will start from 0. The index will start from 0 and then. So that's why I'm writing 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. That means 4th value. And then I'll get D. So that means the 4th value. So I'm able to fetch the value. Similarly, I can even change the value from here. I can even add more values in the same list. Okay. Now we'll do for loop. The other thing is yes. So the next thing is we have loops in here. So before that, I want to show you what is indentation. So I just wrote something x equals to 1. So it is compiling. What if I put a space before x? This will work here. So this is giving me indentation error. So that means I cannot have a space before C, and then the spaces should be same. Like here, let's do a for loop for x in a range of 0 to 5. So as you can see that how many spaces are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 spaces, and then I'll printing any value. Okay. So it is printing 0 to 4. What if I want to put another print? So it is giving me error. What is this? Indentation error, because there is the difference of one space. Suppose I want to print x outside this for loop, then I'll have to remove these 3 spaces. So this is indentation. You got it right. So now I can do that. So the last value of x was 4, so it is printing again. And we have another parameter here. So now it is adding 2 to each value. Previously it was adding 1, and now it is adding 2, 0, 2, and 4. So it is printing between the range of 0 and 5. So this is loops, and also we can loop through a list value. So for x in, let us create a list here. A list tuple or whatever. A, B, C. So I can even loop through a list tuple or a set. Okay. So using for loop, can we create a Fibonacci series? This is our homework for you. I would have created it, but I think I'll get late otherwise. Do you guys want me to create a Fibonacci series from for loop using Python? I'll take that as no. Okay. And then we have while loop. Great. Awesome. So and then we have while loop. So in while loop, the syntax is something like this: while number is less than 10, and then we have columns here, and then I'll print. So there will be some errors if I compile this code. The first will be I have not defined the value of number yet. In my previous case of for loop, I was using for x in range, so the value will be automatically defined. So in while loop, I'm not defining any number, so I'll have to define it first. That is the first thing. The next is I'm not. So if I print this, it will be infinite loop because 1 will always remain less than 10. So I need to change the value of number all the time. Number equals to maybe number plus 1. So this will print from 1 to 9. So this is while. Let me know if you have any question. Okay. So now we'll work with input. So let us take some input from. Yes, indentation will be we'll have to follow indentation everywhere in all the Python code.
No, yeah, Shubham, so in Python code, like you have written, right, the while. After
Yes.
while, the print and the number plus 1. So in between each line, there shouldn't be any indentation, right?
So while
Like
x
after
equals
print and number plus 1.
They should, yes, yes. See, so while x is less than 10, we are printing some value here, suppose x, and then I want to add the value of x here itself. I
Okay,
do not
below the
want to
print.
add,
Uh,
yes,
no
if
extra
I,
indentation. Yeah.
no, no, if there is any extra spaces or less spaces, then it will throw some error.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is very important in Python. And then let us take some input from the user. So as I told you, uh, in order to take input from the user, I use input. Maybe word equals to input. And so whatever the user will enter, that value will be defined in.
Hey Shubham, I think you are not audible.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Somebody muted me. So this is how you'll take the input from the user, input, enter, and so enter will be shown to the user, and then you will take the input. If I need to see the type of any variable, then I'll use the type command, type function. So suppose if I am doing it x equals to 1, let us see what is the type of x here now. It is integer, so it is automatically typecasting all the values. Great. Okay, so then I'll move to the slide. We have if else here, we'll do that. So we in other languages we'll have if else, and then end. Here we'll have if, elif, and else. So if condition is true, then other it won't go to the other elif or else. So we'll do this hands-on. This is while loop, as I just showed you, and then we have many math functions here. So like absolute, ceil function. Absolute will give the absolute value. That means if there is any negative value, it will make it positive. -2 will become 2, and like that. And then ceil rounds up the value, and we have floor, log. These are some of the functions which will be required maybe tomorrow. So like x equals to 1.8. Let us use ceil function. Let us see if I'm able to use it. Okay, so this is throwing one error. So what is the error? That ceil is not defined. So ceil function is present in one library. That library's name is math. So how to import that library? As I told in my previous slides, we'll use import math. And then we'll use math.ceil. So as you can see that this is giving the roundup value of. So this is the function. This is the library. In this library, we have this function math.ceil. Okay. So this is another way to import any package, any library. So we'll have many functions inside this library, in this math library. So if you want to import all the libraries, all the functions inside that, we'll use from math import star. So it will import all the libraries here. Suppose if you want to import some particular function only, I'll write from math import ceil. So it will import the ceil function only. No, as you just saw that if I'll use this command, let us see, I need not to use it. From math import start, so all the functions will get imported. We need not to use the library name before any function after that. Okay. Similarly, we have floor value, log value. All these are present inside math libraries. You can give it a shot later. Okay. Okay. So these are some of the logical expressions which we can use. Suppose I want to see if x value is present, x equals to 10, b equals to 20, and then let us see if else. If x is less than 10, see indentation. There will be 4 spaces. Print x. For else, 4 spaces. Print. You can use 4 spaces or tab, whatever you like. So if x is less than 10, print x, otherwise print b. So this is the logical operator I used. X is less than equal to. If I use less than equals to, then it will print the value of x. Okay. So then we have text and file processing. Lambda functions. So these are some of the basics. I'm going through this because we'll be using lambda functions, and then we'll be using pandas. So I do not want to confuse all those people who have never worked on any programming languages. So these are very, very basics. Most of the logics will be same in all the languages, just the syntax will differ. Okay, so let us go through these slides. So this is string. We have already used it. So suppose if you want to input a multi-line string or print a multi-line string, you'll have to use /t. /t means tab. /n means new line character. If you want to include a quote inside this, you'll use /, and then backward / and similarly. If I want to get a particular character from a string, I'll use its index. All the strings are indexed in Python. These are some of the string properties. If I want to get the length of string, I'll use length function len. If I want to change the, if I want to lower the string values lower, this is case. If I want to lower the case of string, I'll use lower, and in order to change it to uppercase, I'll use upper function. String.upper, it will change the upper function. We have some of the programs we'll do later on. We'll use all these functions. And then text processing, as I did in loop, I can also do that in string using for loop to print all the correct whole loop to print the string in a character wise. So for C in Booyah, I'm getting all the values character wise. Okay. So this is some of the functions. So the thing, this is nothing but if I need to get the ASCII values of order, so ASCII values is 97. This is something you can Google later on. So if I want to get the value of ASCII, then I will use ORD function here. And similarly, for if I want to take get vice versa, then I'll use CHR value. So this is a program that we could have used that maybe you can work on it. So we have an input string known as attack. So I want to change the value of every character by adding 1 to it. So if it is A, it should be B, T should be U, then again A should be B. So this is one place where you can use order and scar functions. And then we have lambda function. This is very important. So why would we use lambda? What is a lambda function? So a lambda function is a small anonymous function. If you want a small throwaway function which may not be reused again, and it's a very small function, then you can use lambda function. It can take n number of arguments. Anonymous functions means it does not have any name. It can take any number of arguments, but can only have one expression, as you can see here. In this lambda function, it is taking one input value, that is 10, and giving and adding the value to 10. So if I write x of 5, 5 will go to a, and then that 5 will get added with 10, and then it will return the value back. So this is one lambda function. So the thing is, the power of this lambda is better shown when you use them as anonymous function, which we'll do it later. So this is UDF, user-defined function. We will do this later also. We, in order to suppose, I'll give you a scenario where we used UDF. So suppose we have a huge table in Spark as a Spark data frame, and then I want to process one of the columns. So I'll create a UDF. I'll pass that column to that UDF. UDF is nothing but a user-defined function. I'll pass that table's column to UDF and then process it. And then it will return me all the values. Okay. So this is file processing. Let us do some hands-on on Lambda first. Okay. Maybe we'll create a UDF which will double your input number. So how would we create a UDF? We'll use def. This is keyword, my func, the function name. It will take some input value, and then it will return what? Lambda a star n. This is 1, and then C. So what it is doing is although we are defining it, it's a UDF. We need to call this UDF first. Let us do that. Maybe my doubler function equals to my func and 2. So now if I'll call this my doubler anywhere, it will double the value. Like print my doubler maybe 4. So I've created a user-defined function. I'm returning this lambda value. Let us see what happens. So it is giving me 8. Suppose I do not want to change my UDF here. I just want, instead of doubling the value, it should multiply it by 10. So I just change my value here, and then I'll run my doubler function. So as you can see that there was no need to change any value in this UDF. I just changed the value here, and then it's the overall purpose of the function changed. So this is how you will use lambda functions. It will take some input and returns after processing this. Okay, so I have one more use case for this. Yes, Vyasa. Great. Okay, so I need to sort some values. So suppose I have a list, my favorite. One. And 3. All-time favorite. So suppose I want to sort this list based on the first name. So maybe how will I sort this? List name dot sort. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the list is sorted. Let us print this list now. So as you can see, that list is sorted based on their first name. But now I want to sort this list based on their last name. As you can see in some of the names, there are 3 words at G and Wells. So we need to get the last name first, and then we'll have to sort it. Here we'll use lambda function. Let us see. So sort will have a different parameters. Suppose if I want to reverse the order, then I'll write reverse equal to false, and then I'll print it. Sorry, reverse equals to true. So the list is reversed, as you can see. So and then it has one more parameter, that is key, on what value it should. So instead of using reverse, I'll use key. Key equals to, I'll put a lambda function here. So lambda function will do nothing but it will first split the name based on spaces, and then I'm fetching the last. -1 will give you the last value of the list. So one more thing here, there can be chances that this C would have been written in lowercase, and this Wells W will be written in uppercase. So this will as it is determining the ASCII values of all the characters, it will not give us proper result. So we'll use lower function. This will return the lowercase value of the last name. So what I'm doing is I'm doing lambda function. Key is the whole name. Here it will pass here, it will split based on the species, and it will get the last name, and then it will lower it. Let's see now. Did it? Okay. Okay. So as you can see that the list is sorted based on their last name. A, B, C, and W. So what if I remove lower? So as it was printing using the ASCII values, so the value of capital is less than the value of the small one, the lowercase character. So the list is sorted, but only if the last character is capital. If it is not, then it is giving us this value, which is not correct. I hope you got it why I used lower function here. Okay. So there is one. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm following. So what is the advantage of using the lambda? Why can't we just write that same function there
Lambda
instead of using the lambda?
Yes, I'll show you. Lambda is mostly used where you just want a small throwaway function. You do not want to create another. So you could have used created another function separately and then called it. So here I'm just writing one line of code, and then it is solving my purpose.
But can't I, instead of writing lambda, can't I just write that command there, name.split?
Yes, definitely you can. Name.split will only split one value. It will not put a loop on all these values. So I want, so this lambda will go through all the values of this, of this list.
Oh, I see.
Got my point?
Yep.
Okay, great. Now I'll show you how can we use this anonymous function without the name. Suppose we have some quadratic function. Quadratic function, as you know, that is, it's like ax square plus b x maybe and plus c. This is one quadratic function. So now we can have a situation where most of the times x value will change, but a and a, b, c, these three value will only change not very frequently. So I'll write a lambda function for this. Let us create the UDF as we did previously. So we'll have definition. Let us maybe build quadratic function, and it will have C, and then it will, as we know, it will return a lambda function. Notice what will be the value. So user will pass x, and it will return a star x. So double star means x square of x plus b star x plus c. Okay, so we have defined a UDF here. So suppose I need to use this quadratic function again and again, and the value of ABC will change accordingly. So maybe I'll define this to some other value, maybe a1 equals to, and then I'll pass some value, maybe 1, 1, 1. So let us run it. 1. So this is, so now my a1 is defined. Let us define a2 also. Okay, so now in my first case I want 2x square plus 2x plus 2. In my first case it wants x square plus x plus x. So similarly I can have multiple quadratic function accordingly. So I need to call this now. Suppose I'll just put a1 and then I'll give the value of x. Maybe 10. Okay. So now if I use a1, the value of ABC will be used as 111, and if it is a2, the value of ABC will be used as 222. Got my point, right? Or not? Should I explain it again?
So maybe one thing, Shubham, that you can go over one more time. I'm not sure if others are understanding, but how is it that when you are defining that A1, or rather when you're calling A1, that the value that you are passing in the argument is passed to the lambda?
Okay, so the thing is, for the first time I'm calling my user definition function. So this is UDF. I'm calling it and passing the value of A, B, and C. So it will be, so this three value will be passed here, and then I'm defining this to A1. So now A1 will have something like 1, 1, 1. So now next time whenever I'll use, so now next time whenever I'll use A1 value, so this function will be used at the back end. Similarly, for the second one, I'm passing the value 222. So for A2, the value of the value will be changed from ABC 111 to 222, and then we can use and at the end this is sort of a generic UDF for us now. We can for this quadratic equation, if we need to change values, I need not to call this function again. I'll just have to create a different anonymous function, and then I'll use those anonymous functions. So what if I do not want to define a name here? I can also do something like 10. and then print this value. So here, so I can even use this function like this. I'm not defining this UDF to anywhere. I'm just calling this UDF and then passing the values. Still confused?
No, I think I'm getting it. I apologize, my internet connection was a bit slow, so I didn't follow all of what you said, but I think I'm getting it. So which part of this, I did just, again, one more clarifying question, which part of this is actually the anonymous function? Is it the lambda?
This thing is, yes, lambda part. I'm not defining this lambda, a name of this lambda function anywhere. I'm just using it here. I'm calling this UDF, and then I'm just directly writing 10. I'm not naming this lambda naming this lambda function anywhere.
So when you define A1 equal to Bill quadratic function 111, are you then giving a name to the anonymous function?
I'm not giving any name. See, previously I was giving when I wrote A1 equals to this. So that
Yes.
at that time I was defining that function to a variable.
Yes.
We cannot even call that as naming, but just defining that function because we want to use that function. Here I'm not even defining that value. I can use directly. I can use this function, this lambda function directly here. I'm creating a UDF, which will be a general form of a function, and then because here I'll have ABC, and then I'm just calling it using a UDF, calling this lambda function using a UDF. So the main point here is that we are not giving any name to this lambda function. So we'll have many more hands-on. I just want you to get the overall crux of using lambda function, that it will take one input value and it will return this output value. It will calculate the value which is there after this colon, and then it will return it. So this is the main crux of lambda function.
Right.
Okay, great. We'll be using lambda functions in our PySpark session, so that's why I wanted to touch this today. So now we will use we'll work on file read and output. Suppose if I need to create a file inside this Python and I want to write some code here, maybe not code but some values. How will I do that? So I'll use f equals to open. I'll need to open some file. I'll give file name, maybe demo1 dot. It's a text file, and then I want to give another. I need to give another value here. So that value can be W, R, and A. W means I want to write. R means I want to read that file. A means I want to append that file. Append means if some data is already written on the file, it will append. It will write the data after the already present data. If I write W here and the file is already present, it will overwrite the data. So let us write something here because this file may not be present. Okay, so how will we write it? We'll write f dot write some data. Okay. It's saying invalid index. Oh, okay. We do not use it here actually. I'm just opening the file and then writing the value, and then let me just close it also for safety purpose. I'm closing it. So this is how I'll write some data inside the file. Let us read this file as well. Open. I'll read it. Maybe directly printing it will do. This should work. Okay, great. So this file got created, and then I wrote some data here, like some data, and then I closed it, and then I again open that file using read mode, and then I read the file. Suppose let us append the data here. I want some more data here, and I want a new line. I just do not want the data to be in single line, so I'll use n \n, and then maybe some more data, and then another line. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, it did. So so I have appended some more data here. So previously it was just some data, and then I have added more data. So let us read this in read mode and then see what is the value. So as you can see that the first line is not appended with the new line because there is no new line. There is no new line character here, and then after that we have a new line character. So it is just appending the data. There is a space after new line, so there is a space after this. So suppose I want to read this value in line wise. I do not want the whole data in just one chunk. So for that I'll use read lines. Okay, so if I directly use f.read lines, it will again read all the lines at once. So what I'll do is, instead of reading it directly using f.read lines, I'll put that in a loop for r in f.read lines. Let us print every line. Should this work? Every r. Okay. So now as you can see that it, although and then we can have more changes just to see if it is printing line wise. So after every line, I want to print something. Okay, so as you can see that it is reading one line, it is printing that line, it is printing these characters, and then it is going back to the for loop, it is reading another line, printing it, and similarly doing. Okay, is that fine? Any problem? Anything you are not able to understand or follow me? These are some of the very basic tools which we are using. After that, we'll move on to Pandas, which is very helpful in PySpark. Okay, no queries. Let's move on. Okay, now we have Pandas. This is very important. So yesterday, Abhinav had told. Abhinav was when he was discussing a little bit about HDFS. So he told that for running for processing small amount of data, Spark is not needed, or it is not recommended, because Spark is mostly recommended for huge amount of data. If you just want to process small amount of data, let us suppose we want to join two tables with 1 MB of data, there's no point of sending it to Spark cluster, because it will take more time to run small data frames, because it will split into multiple files. It will go to the different cluster, different data nodes, different name nodes, if you remember, and then it will go through whole that map reduce space, and then give out the output, that too if in different naming conventions. So there's no point of using doing all this if you just want to manipulate a small amount of data. So for that we have something known as Python Pandas. So this is an open source Python library which providing high performance data manipulation. So it is a sort of mathematical analysis tool which we use. So this is wide range of use, including academic, commercial domains, including we'll see that how we can use Pandas. So what are the key features? It is very fast and efficient. If you want to join some tables or something, you can directly use Pandas. It has lots of tools for loading data from in-memory objects, like some other list arrays. If you want to load data from a CSV file, it has a read CSV function. And then if you want to make changes in that CSV file, it has functions for that too. So it is a very powerful tool for that. for any sort of analysis. The drawback is that it does not support huge amount of data. So like Spark can have millions of data and can do the same work, but Pandas should have limit like 10 million records, not more than that. Even it also depends on the memory you have in your processors. So this is a typical Pandas data frame. It is divided into rows and columns. So as you can see that it is just a table. So you guys must have worked on RDBMS. So there we have tables. Similarly, we have we can sort of input the file in from the table. We can take the values from the table and put it inside a Pandas data frame, manipulate it, and then save it back as a table. So data is aligned in a tabular fashion, as I just mentioned. So how can we create a data frame? So Pandas data frame can be created using pandas.dataframe function. It can be created using lists, dictionary values, series, that means list arrays, numpy and arrays. Numpy is another library which we can use, and then another data frame, or we can even use any CSV file also to create a Pandas data frame. So let us directly jump onto hands-on then. Pandas. Great. Okay. Any doubt in why do we use Pandas? What are the benefits of using Pandas, and why not using directly some other value? Any doubts? Great. So yes, anyone? No. Okay. So in order to use Pandas, I need to import it. Import Pandas. So they can be some of the functions we cannot use directly using library. We have two ways of importing. Just see. One is from Pandas import star. Then we had okay, many ways. Then we have import Pandas. So as previously mentioned, if I'll just do import Pandas, then I'll have to write pandas dot the function name. And then we have one more thing, pandas as PD. So I'm giving alias to pandas name. So whenever I want to use any pandas function, we will use PD dot. So this is one more way. So we'll use this one here. So let us import pandas as PD. Let us create a list. First, I'll create data frame using a list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let us create a data frame. I'm giving it as df pd dot and data. Okay, so pandas data frame is created. Let us just print it. Okay, as you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first row is index value. So whenever you'll create a pandas data frame, this index value will always get will be generated and will be generated, and then this will be the first column for all the data frame. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the data which we provided, and this 0 is the column number. This is row number, this is index value, this is the row number, and this is the column number. So this will always get generated. Okay. Is there anybody else who's facing the same problem? That's it. Okay, let me share my screen again. I'm gonna stop it and share it again. Okay, I've shared my screen again. Are you able to see now? Deepak, Are you able to see my screen now? Deepak, are you able to hear me now? Okay, maybe let us take it as yes. Okay, so we have just created a data frame using a list. So as I told you, this is column number, this is row number. Please pay attention to this because this is very, very important. We'll be using this a lot tomorrow. So I need to print it. What if I do not want this index value? I'll do something like I'll change this value to toString. ToString is a function inside a Pandas data frame which will create all the which will convert all the values in the data frame from any type to string, and then I'll put as index equals to false. I do not want this index value. Then you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the value, and then you'll have a column number. Okay. So now, what if I want to, and then similarly, what if I want column names instead of this auto-generated number? So let us do something like data. I'll create 2 columns this time. A 10. Okay, and then maybe B. Yes, I'll see that. Give me a minute. C, comma 30. So I've created this. Let us print this now. Let us see what happens. I'm not named it. So we have 2 columns, 0 and 1. I want to name it instead of using this this auto-generated thing. So how will I do that? While creating data, how to put data list in columns and not in rows. Yeah, so we'll create a column, column, say let us see columns equals to maybe we'll give names, name, and then we'll have, what is it, 20 age. Let us give it age. Now let us run it. So now as you can see here that instead of auto-generated column numbers, we have column types, column names. We have name and age. So this is one thing. There are many other ways to create a Pandas data frame. We'll not go through all those. Now we'll do something like we want to read the data from a CSV file. So in a project, you are given a CSV file. You want to create a table out of that CSV file, manipulate that data inside the CSV, manipulate the data, and then save it as a table or back as a CSV. This is a real-time scenario which if we do not want the column headers, like you do not want to show the headers while printing the data, yes, you can do that. You just need to put that headers equals to false. That's it.
Okay. Even 0 also.
Yes, we can do that. So now we'll do something like we will read a CSV file from out of Pandas. Okay, let me see if a CSV file is already present. Okay, no. So I'll open a CSV file. I need to drop some CSV files. Okay, let us see. I need not this. Okay, I need this. I need this with header, without header. Okay, let us use these. So I'm uploading all these files here so that I can use it. Okay. Cool. So now I'll read the CSV file. Let us do something like df equals to, we have a function here known as read CSV underscore CSV, and then I'll give the file name. So first we'll use data without header. So if I show you the files, maybe I'll show you it here itself. Data. So in without header. So in this file, I just have rows of data. That's it. We do not have any header at the top of the CSV file. And then I'll give, maybe just run this. Read CSV is not defined. Okay, as we have used pandas as PD, we need to use PD dot read CSV. Another error. It's in 9305. Acha. Maybe some problem with header without header. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. Let us see. So data without header, maybe let us put some names over it, then it will work. First is roll number, second is name, okay. So I'm putting column names as well to this now. So let us print df. So as you can see here that we have read a file from a CSV and then given the column names here. This is 10 values, and then we have printed the values here. So there can be chances that header is already present. As you can see here, that data without header, I do not, because please mute that. And then in this data with header, we have first row. Please mute that. Or Ravina, if you are there, please mute it. We have first row as column names. So roll number, name, result, and age. So in this file without header, we don't have column names. Okay. So this time I'm
mute, please.
sorry.
Shubham, just 1 minute.
Yeah. Do I have option to mute?
Yeah, Shubham, now unmute yourself and continue.
Awesome. Okay. So now I'm trying to read this CSV. So this data with header CSV, as you just saw, it has the CSV, the column names present. So I'll not use this name as equals to because it is already present. Instead, I'll tell the pandas that header is present at the 0th row. So if I just print it, I'll get roll number, name, result, age, because this is already present here, roll number, name, result, age, and I'm using it. I'm not defining my own column names here. Okay. So what else can we do using pandas data frame? We can also suppose, so we have a data frame here. We can also save this data frame as a CSV file, df.toCSV. Maybe the file name here. Let us give as data1.csv, and then I want to tell the separator is what is a separator? A separator is the value which separates a character which separates all the values. So here separator is comma. It's a CSV file, so I'll keep it as comma only, and then I'll give index equals to false because I do not want this index 0, 1, 2, this first column to get saved. So let us see if this works. Okay, I think it did. So I'll read it again, or maybe I can directly go to the file and save this this file is present. Okay, so this data1.csv got created, and let me open it. And as you can see that the same data frame got saved as a CSV file, and we do not have any index. So if I had not mentioned this index that equals to false, that value would have already been present there. So this is very important because I mean, this in real time scenario we work on this a lot. Okay, so now as I told you that suppose we have now we have a data frame here. And I want to get only the first column of this data frame. How will I do that? And let's see. So I'll give the column name here, and I'll get the only the column which I want. Maybe we may need it for some purpose like manipulation. Only this column will define this column in some other data frame and manipulate it. Okay, so let us see something like we can even join two CSV files. So we have a data frame one with data with header, and then I'll create another data frame, maybe data frame dot read CSV and data without header. Okay, I need to give names equals to roll number, name, resultant, age. Let me print both these data frames. Data without header, CSV. Okay, so as you can see that in data frame one we have roll number, name, result, age, and in the other one we have no roll number, name, result, age as well. So let us change. This is not age actually. This is country. Okay. So now we have roll number, age, and country. So I want to join both of these. So now DF1 and DF2 are two tables. So I want to join these tables based on roll number. So roll number, as you can see, is the index value here. We can set index also, but we'll take it as index for now. And then I'll see. I'll get the country and age for from this. Okay, how to do? So maybe create another data frame df3 equals to I want what df1 dot merge with df2. Merge, we'll use merge for joining, and then but in df2 I do not want all the values. Just want roll number, and maybe age. And on what condition I want it? On equals to roll number. So on condition, that is on this condition I want to join these two tables. Okay, this works. No, age not in index. Should have printed it. So I want to merge df1 with df2. I just want a roll number and age from here, and maybe What if I just remove this? Print df3. Okay, but I want country from df2. Okay, so now we have merged data frame 3 where uh, we have all the values which we require. So I want to see. So now before going to that, let us see what is lock and ilock. Do we have that in? We have ilock and lock. So suppose I want to get a particular column, a particular row from a data frame. I do not want all the rows at once. I do not want all the columns at once. So what will I do? I'll use something known as ilock and lock. So what is ilock? It is an indexer for Pandas data frame for integer location based indexing selection. So let us see how. So data.ilock 0 will only give the first row. So there can be chances that you just want to see the first row. If you want to see the last row, use -1, as we had used that in our lambda functions. We used -1, so it will give us the last row. If you want the second row, use ilock 1. Similarly, ilock can be used on columns. So now I'm keeping my rows as all, and then I just want first column here. I just want all the rows. I want second column here. I want all the rows, but I need last column here. So this is how I use ilock. If I want both of them, I'll use this function. So let us give it a shot. So let us maybe try here itself. So maybe, okay, I'll explain the lock as well. So lock is lock is almost similar to ilock, just that here we can use it for two different cases, by rows by label indexing, and then we can also use a conditional operator here. So let's see how can we use a conditional operator. So we had this data frame 3 which has age and country. I want all the rows where age is greater than 87. So how will I do that? So df3.loc location, that means, and then I want to put a condition over age where age is greater than 87. Why is it? Let me print. Key error age. df3. Okay, so this is one. Okay, so df3, I guess, like this. So this is the syntax, I guess. df3 and one more. Okay, so df3 where location df3 age should be greater than 87. How this works? Great. So so we have all the rows where the age of this data frame is greater than 87. So this is how we can use lock and ilock function. So let us. Okay, so we do not have much time, I guess, so I'll directly jump through something, a small, not a project, but okay, so this is, I'll directly jump through here. Need to do this. Okay, this is, we have a small exercise to do here. So I need one file, so I'll go to file, I'll add new file. Maybe I've already added the files. So what are the files? I wanted UK 500 alcohol consumption. Okay, I wanted this alcohol consumption. Okay, great. So I have this CSV file already present here. So let me quickly read that CSV file. So I'll use df is equal to pt.read CSV, and then I use alcohol function.csv. And header is already present. Let me print it. And suppose I want to read first 10 lines only. I do not want, so there can be chances that there are hundreds and thousands of lines. I do not want all the lines. I just want first 10, 15 lines. So I'll use df1.head. So it will print me first n number of rows. Here it is printing me 5 rows. So okay. So suppose the thing is, I do not want all the rows here. It has 10, I think 20 columns here. I do not want all the columns. So I just want limited number of columns. So I'll create another data frame. Stud alcohol data frame dot location. So I'll use log command here. I want all the rows, so that's why I'm keeping it empty. I want to start from school. I want column starting from school and ending at guardian. Guardian location df.log df1 dot. Okay, so let us print first 5 rows of student alcohol and see how many columns are there. Dot head. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. So it is starting from school and till guardian. So we have selected only the required columns now. Okay, so now what I need to do is let us create another lambda function. So this lambda function will capitalize all the values here. So all the columns which we pass. So this is a real-time scenario which will be helpful maybe if you guys work anytime in future. So I'll use a capitalizer function which will capitalize all the values. So we'll use same syntax lambda and then input x, and then I would just want to return the capitalized version of this is a function CP. So I've created the lambda function. So how will I apply this lambda function here? So I'll use this data frame. I'll select the column on which I want to type. Maybe I have let me just print it also. Print dot head. So I want to capitalize maybe this M job. Okay, and then we'll use something known as apply. So if you want to apply any function, any lambda function or any UDF to any column of a pandas data frame, you can use this function apply. So I'll use capitalizer function here. I'll put it here. Okay. So as you can see that all the rows of this M job are capitalized. Well, I mean capitalized means in the first character only. So if you want to capitalize or whole value, then you can use lower function. So so although this is capitalized, let me just use head and not want all. I cannot use it. So as if I'll print this again, you can see that this is not capitalized. So that means we'll have to define this sum in order to capitalize it. What I'll do is I'll just use the same column and define it back. So now if I'll do head, you can see that these capitalized values are present. So this is one way of using a lambda function to process all the rows at once of a pandas data frame. So the same lambda function can also be used in SpicePark data frame. We'll do that tomorrow, but in that case, we'll use a UDF, user defined function. I'll tell you tomorrow why would we use that. So suppose, and similarly we have tail as well here. So it will give the last 5 rows, as you can see. So let us create another function here, another definition. Just put it here. So we'll create a function. I want to see if the I want to create another column and see if how many of these guys are a legal these students are legal drinker. That means over the age of 17 or 18. So we'll see that. So definition, if x is greater than 17, see indentation. If x is greater than 17, then the next value should be inside 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a return. If you are using 4 spaces, use 4 spaces. If you are using tab, use tab, but you'll have to use one. Sometimes in hundreds of lines of code, you will see the only problem was instead of 4 spaces, there was 1 tab, and you had to debug that. Okay, if else, this should be here, and I want to return false, capital F. Yes. Okay, so this is the function I've created. Let's see. Nice. So this is the function I've created. Let me apply this function now. So I need to create another column. Legal maybe, and then I'll put dot apply. Will it work? Okay, let us see. So now I want to print this again. I've created another column with name legal, and then here it is. So there is one more column here with legal, and depending on the value of age, it is populating true or false value. Similarly, we can create another functions like multiplying all the values with some other value. Let us maybe do it times 10x if we return return 10 star x. So whatever, so here I'll use send maybe medu or fedu. Okay, maybe what we'll do is I'll multiply whole data frame with 10. So what I'll do is I'll use alcohol dot apply. This will be new to you. Apply map. So apply map. So yesterday we did side map reduce. So this is little bit similar to that only. So it will use all the columns and then multiply it and then call it. So now let us see if we face any error. I do not want all the rows. Okay, great. So this is multiplying all the columns with 10. If there was school was GP, then now it is 10 times of GP. So what I'll do is I do not want to multiply. I just want to multiply if the value is integer. So what I'll do is I'll put a if condition here. So if type of x is int, only then multiply. Else return X. And then I'll apply. Okay, be this. Okay, so now you can see that only if the value is integer, then only we are multiplying it using by 10, otherwise we are not. Okay, so this is how we'll manipulate the data. So this is a very small example, but in real-time scenario in PySpark we face this a lot because many of the tables are very small and we do not want to send it to a Spark data frame or Spark cluster and waste our time there, because that will take at least 10 minutes to just split the data, do all the map reduce. What if there are only 10 records? You do not want to send all these just 10 records and for the manipulation. So it will split the data, it will create and then it's very it's not a very good approach to use. So for that we'll use Pandas data frame. So we'll load the data. So if we have a table, we'll load the table inside a Pandas data frame, maybe load another table inside a Pandas data frame, do all the manipulation, do all the joins, do whatever you want to do, and then maybe create another data frame. If you want to save it as a CSV, use to CSV. If you want to save it as a Pandas, if you want to save it as a table, then you need to create convert it to Spark data frame, and then Spark will save it to Spark data frame.